You're all ready to go, Sophie? Thank you. Okay, so this is the revised agenda for the regular council meeting of Monday, October 25th, 2021. And I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional unceded territory of the Squamish and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, who have been guardians of our land for time immemorial. And with that, I'll open the council meeting and the approval of the agenda. Late items, Sophie, I think we've got them.
Yes, there's just 3 items on the on-table agenda package that was circulated earlier. Did you want me to list them now?
Just go through them again, make sure I got them there. Yeah.
Yeah, so one was an additional letter in support of the development variance application for 1673 Evergreen. Okay. And then there was a letter from the owners of 1153 Ecclestone that is included in information items. Okay. And then there is just a slight revision to the recommendation from the chief financial officer in regards to the bylaw for the loan authorization Tunstall Bay Reservoir.
All right, I've got those. I think everybody else has got them. So the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any issues with the agenda? Anything they want to add or comment on before? Okay, Maureen, go ahead.
Do we defer 7.2 at this point, given?
I'll send that along to Liam for discussion.
Liam, do we defer 7.2 at this
or
point?
do you want, or does Liam want to handle it?
Yeah, sorry, I was just double checking here. I think no, we're going to need to defer that.
Do we defer it, or can we just remove it from the agenda and the adoption of the agenda, which is the process?
Yeah, that would be easier, I guess.
Now we could just remove it, and we'll bring it back at the next one.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Any other comments?
So could I just say, just for clarity, that's the land use amendment bylaw number 528, and it's being deferred because our planner is not able to be with us this evening.
Got stuck with the storm.
That's correct. Any others? Sue Ellen?
That was my question too.
Okay, very good. So the recommendation is the council approve the agenda and late items agenda as amended for the October 25th, 2021 regular council meeting. I'll move that. I got a second from Michael. I'll take that from Michael. And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to public comments. Sophie, do we have anybody in the public that would like to?
No one had pre-registered, and
Okay.
I don't see anyone in the audience, so I think that's a no.
Okay, I thank you for that. So move on to consent agenda. Anybody have any issues with bits and pieces of the consent agenda that they would like some clarification on or that sort of thing? Do I see anybody here? I'm just going to have to go by here. I don't see anybody, and then on that note, the consent agenda, the recommendations council approve the items as outlined in the October 15th, 2021 consent agenda, and we will move that by consensus, approve it by consensus. We'll move on to delegations, which we have none, and business arising from the minutes, there's none there. So bylaws. And 7.1 is a loan authorization bylaw number 555/2021, Tunstall Bay Reservoir. Sheila McCutcheon, Chief Financial Officer. Sheila, over to you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Mayor and Council. And just wanted to note the revised recommendation tonight that Council read the Bowen Island Municipal Loan Authorization for the Tunstall Bay Water Reservoir Tank bylaw number 555/2021, a first time only. So the purpose of this report tonight is to provide Council with a draft loan authorization bylaw related to the borrowing of funds under the Municipal Finance Authority short-term borrowing program for the procurement and installation of the Tunstall Bay water system. At the September 27th council meeting, council did authorize up to $655,530 to be borrowed under section 175 of the community charter. And that was for us to access financing through the Municipal Finance Authority under their equipment borrowing program. However, we have discovered since that, unfortunately, it hadn't been disclosed to the Municipal Finance Authority that it was for a local service area. And because it's a local service area, the borrowing has to be authorized by bylaw and not a resolution of council. So the equipment loan program is not compatible. So this is why we have this loan authorization bylaw before council tonight in relationship to the water reservoir tank for Tunstall Bay, which is a local area service water system. The short-term financing has no other related financial impacts by going to a short-term financing versus the equipment loan program. There's no fixed monthly payments with the short-term financing program. However, we would be recommending that the same amount of payments be made annually at approximately $134,400 per year. The interest rates are virtually the same. They're both at 0.94% right now. And it would continue to work out to approximately $933 per year per property for 5 years to be applied as a parcel tax. Following this first reading, staff will be proceeding to give notice under section 213 of the community charter, where it requires the corporate officer to mail a notice to all the applicable addresses related to the Tunstall Bay water system, and as a council initiated petition. And after that, council can proceed with the second and third reading as long as it's approved in accordance with the notice, unless it receives a sufficient petition against the service. So we're just looking for council tonight for that approval of the first reading for this loan authorization bylaw number 555/2021.
All right, thank you very much, Sheila. It seems pretty straight.
Happy to read the
Question.
resolution.
Sorry?
I said, I'm happy to read the resolution if there's no questions.
Well, let's just see if there's any questions out there, and then I'll let you read it. Anybody have any discussion on this at all? Well, I don't see anybody out there. And okay, sorry, Maureen, go ahead.
One question. The recorded opposition, what constitutes sufficient opposition to proceeding with this?
Good question.
So just 1 second, got my cheat sheet here. Second.
If I may,
Yeah, someone else
that-
wants to jump in, sorry.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
just have to look it up in the community charter.
yeah, I don't know the specific threshold, but if it is akin to a counter petition, it would require 10% of the population of the local area service
To be opposed
to be
in order
opposed.
to stop this from proceeding?
10% or greater to be opposed.
Oh, yeah, so I do have the details here. So in order for council to rely on the petition as authority to create the local area service, the petition must be signed by the owners of at least 50% of the parcels that will be subject to the local area tax. And those persons must be the owners of parcels that in total represent at least 50% of the assessed value
Okay.
of the land and improvements.
Thank you, Sheila. That's more comforting than
Yeah.
10%.
10%, yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Sorry for the delay in getting that, finding that
No problem.
That was pretty quick.
section of the community charter.
That
No,
was
don't
quick.
you worry about
That
that.
was very quick.
Yeah. Liam, is your hand still up?
Oh, sorry, no.
No, that's no problem. Okay, so go ahead with the resolution, Allison. I don't see anybody
Okay,
else.
I move that bylaw number 555/2021 cited as Bowen Island Municipality Loan Authorization brackets Tunstall Bay Water Reservoir Tank brackets bylaw number 555/2021 be read a first time.
Second.
Okay. Why am I seeing first, second, and third time?
Because
Why am
we
I
correct
missing?
changed it to make it first time, and now we've got to go through all these other processes.
Oh, okay. All right, so Alan has got the second on that. Any further discussion? I'll ask a question. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And okay. 7.2 has been deferred. We're going on to staff reports at 8.1. Now, this is also Daniel Martin's, but I don't think there's an issue going ahead with this one. Liam, if you don't mind speaking to this one. So the
That's
development variance permit DVP 2021-0243 Evergreen Lane, Daniel Martin, Manager of Planning and Development, dated September 16th, 2021. And go ahead, Liam.
Okay. So I don't have a presentation for you, as
Okay.
Daniel likely would have. But I think we're all familiar with this particular application. This is bringing it back for approval. And this is for a development variance permit, which would adjust the side and rear setback lines of a property and accommodate also for a covenant for protection of part of the land that is adjacent to a trail and a viewing bench. I can bring up a screen here if
There was a PowerPoint presentation. Is there any chance of putting that on? It was in our agenda package.
I didn't see that in the agenda package.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I
I
guess
have- Yeah, I have the agenda package up right now.
okay. I was
So here, I'll just share.
mixing it up with one of the other ones.
Yeah, the report is there and the draft DVP and the proposed covenant.
Correct.
So there's a map in the report.
Yeah, so do you see my screen now?
Yes.
So this is showing the proposed covenant area. And
Yeah.
this is the map that is showing the
Lots.
this is the lot that's in question here. And this is shifting revising the lot line to shift to the back line instead of the other line that was here.
And the two neighbors have sent in letters of support.
Yeah. And it was a bit of a correction anyway. You know, it's just a realignment of the front lot line, really. Does anybody need any more clarification on this?
I'm happy to move it if that's you.
Okay, if you want to go ahead and move that. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay, I'll have to go find it to read it. Just a sec.
Oh, do you want me to read it? I can read it.
Here we go. The council issued development variance permit DVP 2021-0243 for the variance of side and rear setbacks for 1673 Evergreen Lane, legally described as Strata Lot 3, District Lot 492, Group 1, New Westminster Strata Plan BC 3421, PID 027-933-792, and that council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to approve the proposed covenant for 1673 Evergreen Lane, legally described as Strata Lot 3, District Lot 492, Group 1, New Westminster District Strata Plan BCS 3421, PID 027-933-792.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we got a whole bunch of people jumping in there. Michael, I've taken the second from you. And I will go. Any further discussion, Sue Ellen?
Sure, thank you, Mayor Andrew. I just wanted to say one of those numbers, there was an S missing, but I'm sure I read it correctly the
Yeah, I
second time. And so so I noticed that. Thank you, David, for reading all that out. I'm in favor of this, and I really like the idea of further protecting that little public park, a mini park with the bench on it, the viewpoint. Very important to the neighborhood, and I was, you know, in with my conservancy hat on at the time, I was a little bit involved in it, and I treasure it, and it's wonderful, and I support this, both of these motions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sue Ellen. And I don't see any more hands up there. So I will ask the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to 8.2, which is the 2022 budget schedule. Back to Sheila McCutcheon, Chief Financial Officer. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Mayor Ander and Council. Just wanted to present the 2022 budget schedule. Just looking forward here and just asking Council to approve the schedule as presented. Under the Community Charter, Section 165 requires that all municipalities have a financial plan that is adopted annually by bylaw. And the planning period for the financial plan is 5 years. The 5-year financial plan bylaw and tax rate bylaw goes through several stages of development before it's completed, and a public process is required for the development of the financial plan. So the budget timeline includes the following phases, leading through to the development of both those bylaws. So what we are proposing is that, well, actually what's happening right now currently is that the staff budget is under the staff department budgets and capital budgets are under development right now, and that will proceed through to November 30th. Then following that, the next phase is the local advisory committees and finance advisory committee meetings, reviewing the draft budgets. That's for period December 1st, 2021 through to January 31st, 2022. And then, of course, the annual council budget workshop would be held February 10th, and to be confirmed, of course, by council, and February 24th, if necessary. And during that same time frame, following the February 10th committee of the whole meeting, we would move into the public consultation period, which would occur from February 11th, 2022 through to March 9th, with a public virtual open house scheduled for March 3rd. And following that, we would go into the bylaw development and adoption stage, and that would happen at 2 regular council meetings scheduled in April. So the Finance Advisory Committee at the October 18th meeting reviewed the proposed 2022 budget schedule and unanimously passed the following motion that the Finance Advisory Committee recommend that council approve the 2022 budget schedule as presented. And the 2022 budget schedule will be posted on the municipal website and used to update the Bowen Islands Municipal Public Engagement Platform for the 22 budget public consultation and engagement periods. So just asking that staff, staff is just requesting that council approve the budget schedule with the events and outcomes and dates as presented.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Sheila. All right, does anybody have any questions of Sheila about that budget process? I'm looking. Sorry, I got to go back and forth here, and I don't see anybody. So I'm going to read the recommendation, and it's that the council approve the 2022 budget schedule as presented by the Chief Financial Officer. I will move that. Second to David. Thank you. And any further conversation? Last chance. Okay. As I see none, I will ask all in favor. Aye. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, great, Sheila. Super. And we're going to move on to correspondence, which we have none. Reports, committees, commissions dealt with under the consent agenda, and new business. CAO update, Liam Edwards, Chief Administration Officer. Liam.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one update that I want to bring to you tonight. It's about the Mount Gardner project that we're working with the Ministry of Forest, Natural Lands, Resource Operations on the recreational use of Mount Gardner. And you would have received a letter from the ministry just a little while back about a decision from Tom Blackbird about a decision about the recreational use on Mount Gardner. And that decision had some clarity in it, but some ambiguity as well. And so we have engaged with the ministry as well as the previous agreement holders. So that's the Bowen Island Trail Society, which represents some of the hikers on the island. Bahora, which is the equestrian, the horse riding group, and Vitra, which is the Trail Riders Association, which represents the motorized group of Bowen. And we have been also connecting with some other groups that are also quite interested in being involved in this project going forward. But currently what we're doing is focusing with those previous agreement holders and the ministry to work collaboratively to better interpret and understand the decision letter and to create a path forward, which, you know, we're really at the very beginning. We had an initial meeting with Tom Blackbird and all of the other previous trail holder or agreement holders last week. And we're scheduling another meeting in the next week or two to talk in more detail about what that interpretation is and how best to move forward. What we'll be presenting in terms of ongoing, you know, future management of the Crown Land recreational area will be that Bowen Island municipality become the primary license agreement holder, but that we then work with those organizations and groups collaboratively towards actual management. And so again, this is early days, and we'll be bringing reports back to council as it progresses, and seeking council direction on any formalized approach that we come up with. And I'll stop there and ask for any questions or comments.
Okay, thanks, Liam. Okay, I see Maureen first.
Thank you, Mayor Ander. Liam, I'm looking at the letter from Tom Blackbird with the correspondence, the decision attached. And that has not been included in the council agenda. It did not come to council as such. Is it something that can be shared with the public at this time?
I think it can. Yeah, I mean it is a document that would be FOIable, and you know, therefore I think it's something that we can release. And it was not sent. Yeah, it was sent to staff, not to mayor and council, and so I circulated it, but it didn't get on this agenda. We can.
Yeah, can it be added retroactively to the agenda or included in the next agenda? So
I think I think we can get it placed on this one. Or
great, because I think there would be community interest in seeing the seeing what you're dealing with in trying to resolve this.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. David?
Thank you, Liam. Thanks, Gary. But I guess I've got a few questions and certainly some concerns. But what does this mean, Liam? Does this mean that
We don't know.
the mountain that the there will be motorized trail use on that front part of Mount Gardner? Is that what this letter tells us?
It's not entirely clear. The only thing that's really certain in the letter is that a decision has been made by the ministry that the Summit Ridge will be excluded for motorized recreational use, and that there will be at least one, well, not one trail, but there'll be, they don't use necessarily the word terms trail, but that there will be the provision for an experience from the highway to the summit where there will be no motorized use. So the idea, what we're interpreting that as basically that there will be an area on the mountain that will be excluded from any recreational motorized use, and that the entire summit will be excluded. And so that there then may be some recreational motorized use.
Okay, I guess, thanks, Liam.
But we really, the thing is, we really don't know what they meant by the letter. It was very ambiguous.
Well, it certainly was, but what I'm hearing, I'm not comfortable with at all. I'm also not comfortable that the decision around the use of the recreational use of the mountain is being given over to, or being, I shouldn't say quite given over, but well, it has been given over to 3 organizations that have no basis in democratic representation of Bowen Island.
It hasn't been given over to those organizations, and
Okay.
so rather the ministry wants to work with primarily the municipality to help chart a path forward of how that recreational experience will be managed. And so the ministry agrees that they would like to see the municipality become the primary license holder and just deal with one license holder.
Yeah, well, I certainly agree with that part. Thank you, Liam. And I certainly
Yeah.
agree with that. The municipality should take on this task, but the municipality has also said that it did not want to see a motorized use on Mount Gardner. So I don't know how to solve this, but I don't want to be in a position, and I won't be in a position where I'll agree to us having to implement something that we don't agree to. So I don't know, it's put us in a very difficult position. I'm not at all comfortable with this ambiguous letter that can be interpreted all kinds of ways, and that's put us in a very difficult position, except for the fact that we're going to be put in charge, which is great. But if we're in charge, we should get to decide what the solution is, not the folks at Flinroe. Okay, that's what I have to say for now. I don't know how to get us out of this mess, but I don't like it.
Yeah. I agree, David, with what you're saying. Unfortunately, I really don't know what they're saying up there. So until we can get some clarification on what they even meant by the letter they sent, it was very ambiguous. And I think the first thing we need is clarification on that. And then the second thing is that they perhaps feel that they have the final jurisdiction on that. But I'm just going to look for other hands here. Allison, go ahead.
Unmuted here. It is an ambiguous letter, but I also, there is a whole process set out in the legislation that they must follow when they're changing use and on Crown lands. And I don't know what the results of that process and just what they did, and hopefully they will share some of that with you. And the other is, it is their land. And I think they have the ultimate say. And I've talked to other people when they've been dealing with them with Crown land, and it is, so we need clarification on what's in the letter. And then if we were the prime agreement holder, I'm assuming it would be like the partnerships, only there would be one partnership, us and Recreation Sites BC, and we'd have a letter of agreement on what work was going to be done, same sort of process. It wouldn't be that they'd turn the whole thing over to us for total management and do with as we want. Because do we really want that? Because then do we become responsible for things like fighting fires, etc.? So yeah, careful what you wish for.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Sue Ellen.
You're on mute, so.
Not usually my problem. Sorry about that. I'm glad we finally got a decision or a letter, or maybe it's not a decision, but at least an indication that they're taking our request seriously, and that they are working with staff, and you've already had a meeting. That's really positive. I think it'll probably be a longer process, and who knows what else is involved in it in terms of their still got part of the land perhaps in their annual allowable cut for logging and things like that that we don't know about. I think they probably just don't want to make huge changes. I'm just glad that they've got the process started. They're talking to staff, and I would encourage staff to refer to not only the parks plan, but also the official community plan, because there's lots of things in there, and I expect there are other potential partners as well, if needed, as we go on through the years. And because there have been North Shore hikers and other groups in years before. So as it gets more and more use, maybe we can be adaptable with it, and while not getting stuck with huge enforcement. But perhaps we can also draw in bigger partners, more partners, for example, Metro Vancouver Parks in the future, and to help us manage lands. Anyway, I see it as an opportunity, and I'm look forward to seeing it when it comes before us the next time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sue Ellen, which is, I agree, until we find out what's actually going on, I don't think we can do too much at this point. Michael?
Yes, Liam, you were good enough to circulate this letter, and Mayor and Council have read this letter. In fact, given the very nature of the letter, we have probably read it more than once. In fact, I'd venture to suggest we've read it many, many times in the search of clarity. And being the people that we are and the jobs that we hold, we've treated this letter in appropriate terms and language. However, if this letter is now to come into the public domain, the interpretation of this letter and feelings about this letter may be a little less charitable. So I wish you the best in getting some clarification, because it's eluded us so far. And when a letter is written in such a way that it eludes clarification, it'll be subject to interpretation. So I wish you well, and I hope the writer will assist us greatly in saying exactly what it is that he wished to be conveyed, because it's eluded us all so far. And I've no hesitation in saying that, because I think it's, it's something that needs to be said. And let a decision be made. They are the responsible body, and let's have some clarification on it, because that letter now in the public domain will be seen by many, and they will want clarification, and rightly so. So I hope, Liam, you won't be too subtle in transferring that message upwards in regards to what the correspondence we've just received.
Thank you, Councillor Kale.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And I think that's a really good point. To put that letter the way it was written to the public right now, I think would be very, it would move things backwards pretty quickly. But I think we need clarification before it goes out to the public. I don't know about everybody else.
Mayor, if I may, I think we just agreed that we would be releasing it to the public.
Sure.
Yes. And I think it is okay. I think it's not clear. It's very ambiguous. It has me scratch my head, that's for sure. But I do think it's okay, and I think that we may get a lot of inquiries and a lot of concerns being raised. But I think some of the council members said it well, in that this is the first step, and at least they're listening, and they recognize the municipality as needing to be at the table with all the groups, and we'll attempt to get clarity and bring it back here, and hopefully we can get a path forward that makes sense and keeps everybody happy.
Okay, well, let's just see how it goes then.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on. Metro Vancouver Director David Hawking, update to council on Metro Vancouver business.
Yeah,
Thanks, David.
Thanks, Gary. The only thing, it was a budget workshop, and the numbers are the same as the ones that I spoke of the previous week when I had the same report into some committees. So the overall increase was originally going to be about 6 to 7%. They've reduced that to 3.5%. But that doesn't apply to us because we just do that. The big chunks are for the wastewater and the tap water and the solid waste to some degree. For us, though, ours goes up from what would be for the average home. And Allison at the Council of Councils asked a very good question. What would the average home be on Bowen? And we didn't get an answer. We weren't able to get that data. But average home, it would go up from $70 to $76 next year. So that's more than 3.5%. In fact, it's about 12%. And that's because the Metro Vancouver, the regional district chunk is going up more than other areas, even though it's just a tiny chunk, because of the additional money that's been agreed to go for parks and for housing, because those are really short, as well as an increase in the work in Indigenous relations because of the additional work that's needed there. So it's those three areas of additional work. That means that budget for the regional district chunk of the Metro Vancouver tax reconciliation does go up. But it's still so for $70, basically that covers all of the Metro Vancouver services that we use, including, of course, Clifton Park. So that's my report. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for David?
Can I just add, what I asked for was what was the average value of the house for the whole of Metro Vancouver, which is the number they were using,
Right.
An average Metro Vancouver regional house. And in past years, that number has been considerably lower than our average value house. So if it's $71 for their average value house, it's probably $140 for ours to $151. Yeah. So anyhow.
Yeah, that was a good question.
I thought it was very odd that they couldn't answer my question because it's been answered every other year I've asked it.
Yeah, maybe they misunderstood because I misunderstood what you were asking, Allison. I was assuming you were asking what was the average price on Bowen that and
no, well, I very clearly pointed to the slide and it says average household impact.
Yeah.
What's the value of the average household that so any.
Okay.
All right, any other comments for David? Okay, we'll move on to Councillor Islands Trust Municipal Trustees, Fass and Kale. Update council on Islands Trust business. Anything there?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay, go Sheila.
The budget is starting at Islands Trust as well, as it has here and as we've just heard from David Hawking. Like David Hawking reported for Metro Vancouver, the Islands Trust budget is slated to go up. Right now, for all the local trust areas, they're going to be going up about 12% is what it's looking like now. And then as every other year, it gets whittled down to something as it goes through the process. So far, it's only come to one financial planning committee meeting. Like Metro Vancouver, the costs of the trust council itself, as opposed to the different island planning services, are up a little more. So ours is looking right now like 24% up on our small amount. And but that's because we've been spending down the surplus, which Councillor Morris will be familiar with, and sort of catching up, I would say. and then using some of the other surplus to go for special projects like the Governance and Management Committee work with the consultants that Trustee Kale is on. That's $75,000. And this is a big year because there's an election coming up. That's got costs. We're going back to some in-person meetings. I expect there'll be fewer than what's in the budget, and staff travel again, that kind of thing. And that's my report. So I expect that's going to go down, and it'll come to Trust Council at the meeting at the end of November and the beginning of December. Will be the first time for Trust Council to see. Meanwhile, there will be another Financial Planning Committee meeting, and I expect some changes already will be happening. I just wanted to say last year, the increase was 2.7% up. And the year before that for Bowen Island, it was a decrease of 8.1%. So there's quite a bit of variation over the years because it's this formula that gets used. And that's my brief report on that. We do have Trust Council coming up in a few weeks now, and I've got Executive Committee on Wednesday. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Or I can pass it over to Trustee Kale.
Sure.
No, thank you,
Thanks, Ron.
thank you, Councillor Foss, because reporting back on this meeting's been a little bit frustrating because some of the trustees have been somewhat hampered by weather, lack of internet. It has, generally speaking, been rather hard to get hold of people. And always when these budgets get discussed, the numbers get thrown around, and you know, there's a lot of discussions, and I think so captured the spirit of that well. So it's probably not possible to comment because it's just been very, very hard. And it also makes you appreciate the quality of internet on Bowen Island when you're trying to reach and have detailed conversations with people who don't enjoy the same level of internet connectivity as we do. The interesting thing is that our meeting at the very beginning of December will, I think I'm safe in saying, be an in-person meeting. We're all glad of that because we haven't. So please correct me. When did we last all get together? I'm trying to think when it was.
March 2020.
Okay, there we
Wow.
go.
Since then, it's been electric. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can think of a round table with 26 people on it who have been getting together electronically out of necessity over this length of time, I'm extremely pleased that we're having a chance to get together and being the, dare I say it, the Christmas meeting and getting together may be just an excellent chance for us all to get back and get to re-know each other a little bit better and all for the good. So we'll report back on how this getting together for a meeting has worked, because we know that split meetings don't work so well, and we're probably just tired of meeting on Zoom for such a long time. So thank you for your synopsis, Sue Ellen, but I can't add any more to it, Mayor, than that.
All right, thank you, Michael. And we'll move on to Councillor Nicholson, read the update to Council on Metro Vancouver Regional Parks Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Ander.
Sure.
I asked that the agenda from our last Metro Parks meeting be included in our agenda package. So you have it under my report. And the primary focus of that meeting was to go over the parks component of the Metro budget. There was a bit of an intro that where we had an overview budget, as I think David has now had probably 4 times in different contexts, different committees, and at the Council of Councils. So I won't go through this in any detail other than to mention that probably pages 15 to 17 or so of the agenda package is where the budget presentation is, and it lists all of the major projects that are underway and projects out the 5 years for the plan. Bowen is reflected in the budget in the coming year and the following year, In the coming year, the work is slated for Dorman Point and for the Davies Orchard, and then in the next year for Davies Orchard. The question regarding, there was a question came up at our last meeting regarding greenways and the expenditures for greenways. And there is a breakdown by major project in the agenda package. So some of those are completing greenways projects that are already underway in Aldergrove, someplace I don't know, Boundary Bay, Tynehead. And then come 2023, there begins to be greenways upgrades that are unspecified. There's 3.5 million in 2023. And I'm assuming that part of the coming year will be identifying which greenways that are not already specified will Metro Vancouver want to fast track. So with that, I'll just end my comments. It's an interesting budget. The net impact in terms of parks at the time of this meeting was that we'd be looking at a household impact of going from $45 to $49, so a $4 increase. And I should add just one more thing. Part of why they're looking at an increase is not just the more aggressive park acquisition strategy, but also because of the increased visitation to the parks, and they're losing their shoulder season. They used to have a fairly significant shoulder season and just winter season where people didn't come to the parks. That's not happening anymore. People are going to the parks in early March, and they're still coming to the parks at the end of October and into November, which is wonderful on the one hand, but it also creates staffing issues where the summer staff has gone and they still have high levels of visitation. So they are dealing with a situation that is wonderful on the one hand, providing opportunities to connect with nature and so forth, but also just finding it increasingly difficult to do with the current staff complement. So those are my comments. Any questions?
Thank you, Maureen. Anybody out there? Sue Ellen, did you have your hand up?
Thank you. I didn't actually have my hand up, but I really appreciated getting the detail there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ellen.
I didn't mean to have my hand up. Sorry.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to Councillor Allison Moore's update to council on TransLink Mayor's Council meetings.
I think we probably had the shortest public meeting on record on Friday. Thursday, yeah, I guess Friday or Thursday. The major thing I want to draw your attention to is section 12.12 on the information items, which is the Transportation T2050 public consultation, which ends this Friday. There's two surveys out, a detailed long form one and a short form one. So hopefully people will, if there's anybody watching or listening, to please go and follow the link that's in information item 12.12 and respond to the survey. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Allison. And 11.6 is to move to a closed meeting. The recommendation is a council move to a closed meeting immediately following the regular council meeting to discuss items pursuant to section 90-1 E, J, and K of the community charter. I'll move that. And I'll look for a second, Kay Allison, and all in favor, aye. Okay, thank you. We'll move along to the question period. Do we have anybody out there, Sophie, that might want to ask a question, or anybody at council? Okay, I don't see any hands, and I will move to adjournment, at which time we are going to move to a closed meeting. Sophie, did you manage to get a hold of, we've got